evening, everybody, and welcome back to Devils United. We're back again with another preview, and it's a big preview today as we're going to be taking on Arsenal for a rescheduled game. Back with Andy and Chloe. Andy, how are you doing?
Good. I'm great. Good to see people that I actually recognise because I tested positive for COVID on Wednesday. So I've been bouncing around my house like a nutter. I clearly can't do jail if I have done anything dodgy because I'm just driving myself insane, particularly yesterday. But I'm fine now, so I should be there for the game on Wednesday. So I miss Saturday's game.
And a familiar face from the Saturday. Chloe, how are you doing?
Now I'm doing all right. Very happy with the result on Saturday, which I know we'll touch on. Looking forward to the game on Wednesday because it's going to be a very big one because it could be a title decider in terms of who finishes where in the top three and who gets them Champions League spots.
Absolutely. Before we go on we'll touch on a bit of yesterday's game. Good evening, Ensman. I hope you are well. Thank you for coming in. Hey there, Statman. Thank you for coming in. Hope that you are well. Good evening to Ravi. Hope you are well. Thank you for coming in. Good evening, Reese. Thanks for coming in. We'll go on to your question a little bit later on as well. So we'll go on to the game. Both me and you was there, Chloe. Unfortunately, as Andy's mentioned, he wasn't able there to go. We'll go on to you, Chloe. How you thought the game was?
I thought in the first half we weren't ourselves. We kept giving away the ball too easily. The defence weren't the best in the first half for me. We were passing backwards a lot. So I think for me, our first half, like Brighton deserved that first half goal because they were pressing and pushing. And yeah, it was an error of a mistake by Mary Earps. It really was. I watched the replay when I got home and she saved it and it bounced off her hand and into the back of the net. And she should have caught it or stood up a bit more. But it's just an error of judgment. She can't help it going into the back of the net. I think it got put down as an Earps own goal.
It did.
It did in the end. I didn't even see.
Yeah, it got put down as an Earps own goal, so it was one of them. And then coming out the second half, obviously straight out the blocks. I remember I said to someone who was sat next to me, I said, we need to get an early goal. We need that early goal in the second half. And straight away, straight off kickoff, we got that Leah Golton goal. And I just thought for us, we came out of the blocks really well. We were passing a lot better, but we were still doing the backward passes. And for me, that's where we struggle. That's what my worry is. Passing backwards too much, not getting the ball more forwards. And when we did get the ball forward, we had them chances. We had the crosses in from Honor and from Leah and getting the goals. And then obviously Leslie's goal, cracking goal. Good to see her back on the score sheet for us. Tuna, again, she was playing well. She just couldn't finish it. And she was looking tired more nearer to the end. So for me, she personally could have come off. But I think it was good to keep her on. It was good to keep her on if we had to go into extra time penalties because she is one of our penalty takers. So in that process of what Mark was thinking in his head is of probably going into them additional minutes, into them extra time and penalties and thinking ahead of that. And then obviously we call her super sub Ballon d'Or Rachel Williams and we obviously she scores and we call a few of the men's players when they come off the bench super subs because they win us the game, they save us the game. It's a player that she doesn't all like they said on the commentary, she knows she's not going to play all the time. She knows she's not going to be starting every game or finishing every game or doing 90 minutes and she's going to be sat on the bench. She knows that and she's happy with that. She's just happy to play football and happy to be back in in a team environment and injury free. And for her to score that goal and for her to get to the FA Cup final, I think is a big achievement for her. And that's probably why she came to us. That's why she helped us get there. And that's why she's in our team. And I know a lot of people were sceptical on what she would bring to the team, but I think now she's showing that she's bringing the depth, she's bringing experience into the game and showing that you fight and you keep going until that final whistle. And for me, that's what you want in a squad player. That's what you want in a team player. And yeah, she's probably only got, she'll have a year left after this year, and then she might have an option or she might retire. It'll all depend on where we finish this year to then where we finish next year to see what happens with her. But yeah, overall, fantastic game, fantastic atmosphere, brilliant to be there. Missed you, obviously, Andy, at the game. We wish you were there with us. But yeah, it was a fantastic game.
Absolutely. And Andy, what was your thoughts on the game as well?
I mean, obviously, it was one of the most hardest things I've ever done not going there, especially with the minute where there's no rules about anything. But I have people that I care about, 2 of them on here, that I didn't want to give COVID to. So that was really a no-brainer for me. Again, I think it kind of follows the pattern of a lot of the games recently that we've had, which is we've kind of always felt like we will always ultimately win the game, but we've made stupid mistakes. We've always felt in control of the game. I never really felt like we were going to lose, even when we went 1-0 down. I mean, Mary Earps, massive howler, but world class doesn't mean perfect. Like I said on the tweet that I did, it's very unusual what happened. If you look at, obviously I was on TV, I saw the replay straight away. It was just simply a mistake. It was just simply a mistake. And it's interesting how many people sort of jumped on that a little bit, and questioned her and stuff. And she's still one of the best keepers in the WSL and literally the best keeper in the world, based on what's happened recently with that award that she won. I thought that, I know a lot of people, we might go on to this. I think a lot of people think that Russo's goal was a goodbye. The way she acted at full time, that she is on her way out the door. Possibly, we might go on to that. I think obviously there's some obvious there's obviously some bread and butter points. If we play like that against Chelsea, we're going to lose 10-0, but we won't play like that against Chelsea. That's kind of the intro, because obviously United do a thing that, as I said, even people like Barcelona I've noticed do. They play the team, they go down to the level of the team that they're playing at. And all right, but credit to Brighton. Brighton's that new manager who I never heard of from London City Lionesses seems to have a head screwed on really, really strongly, and has done it brilliantly in the 3 days she's had to talk to them before that match. I know a lot of people were a bit snooty about the fact that she meant to get at Angel City, but then she's come back. Well, Casey was meant to be the assistant for England for a short, and was for a few months. Sometimes things happen like that. And as someone who has a soft spot for Brighton as a place, I'm quite happy they've got someone there that looks like they're going to keep up. They're going to stay up. I think if anything, Leicester might be the one that goes down because of the 2 games in hand, the situation there. I think obviously the things that come to mind, Leah Galton's brilliant. Coming out 48 seconds, I believe, from kickoff with the equalising goal. And, that was exactly what we needed in relation to stopping that psychological, oh my God, we're in the second half, 1-0 down, oh my God, and stopping them from really setting up to sort of park the bus for the second half. We've discussed in the past about going first out the, hitting them hard first half so then they can't set up properly. But certainly coming out of the break, we did all right there. Obviously, great goal by Russo as well, and brilliant goal by Rachel Williams. The Daniel Carter goal was a great goal by a very experienced player of theirs, essentially their version of Rachel Williams. But again, not ragging on her as a person. We've always said it's about players and not personalities. Another big mistake by Millie Turner, very clearly big mistake on the actual replay. And even the commentators picked up on it. And to be fair, that's why she apologised on Twitter, I believe. Not that I think she had to, but I'm saying that's where that came from. It was a massive mistake. And she has started to make them roughly once a game, once every couple of games, like big howlers like Zellum does. So I am slightly concerned to see the future in that respect of what's going to happen if we do that against a Sam Kerr, who, as we saw yesterday, doesn't need a second bite of the cherry to score. But that was just something that I thought about. Obviously, really missed being there. I was lucky to have the memories of. We're going to go into Arsenal, I'm sure, in the pod, but I was lucky to have the memories of Chloe to be there when at the Arsenal away game, which is one of my best memories, full stop, and actually one of the best memories I've had supporting United. And I imagine being there when Rachel Williams' goal went in would have probably been quite a close second, if not surpassed it. So it's something I was going to miss out on, unfortunately, but it is what it was.
It's good how you mentioned about, obviously, the players' mistakes, and I know you mentioned about Mary Earps. It's a bit of a weird one because you've seen about criticism from Mary Earps, but I see no criticism about Mary Earps whatsoever on that goal, the own goal she done. But I've seen plenty of criticism from about Millie Turner, and I agree both the players should have been criticised for the howlers that they made. But I do wonder, why was one player getting more criticism than the other?
To be fair, so I don't jump across. I think it's because the commentators wouldn't shut up about it for about 5 minutes, and it was all about it in the second half. Even Rachel Brown Fennis, the next goalkeeper's gone on about it at half time. So I think there's a lot of people who were ready to jump on it online to shut any criticism down, quite rightly, and I did that as well. I'm not saying anyone listens to me. I'm a little minor fish in a big pond, but I was saying, world class isn't perfect. That's my own view on it.
Yeah, I think probably in terms of, I know you've already mentioned about long term, maybe long term that probably will be the case. There probably will be someone different there in the centre back role, but I just couldn't change it right now, especially with like Tunkara. She's not even fit. I'm worried for Mannion as well, so I'd still probably keep Millie Turner till the end of the season anyway, because I think her and Laetitia really complemented each other. And one who does get massive amount of sticks is Katie Zellum. I think Katie Zellum actually had a fantastic game on Saturday, and I know probably people think you're watching Maisy, but I think Katie Zellum, she was actually really, really good, and I'm not a huge Katie Zellum fan myself, but I thought I can't fault people when they're not doing anything wrong. But I want to say, in terms of the referee, absolutely diabolical. How many handballs does Brighton have to give? Right, Katie Robinson should have got a red card. Simple as that. Why the referee bottled it to not let Katie Robinson get a red, I have no clue. Because that should have been a red. It felt like the referee didn't have no guts. She should have got 2. Lionesses FC could be a possibility. And on top of that, no players for Brighton should have got carded. You can't let 6 to 8 handballs be given in a game. 6 to 8.
Yeah, 100%. I think for me, it's one of them that shows that we need VAR in this league. We do need it because opportunities like this are getting missed. Them opportunities could have cost us the game.
Right in the face, though. It's literally right in the face. I don't understand. And one of them, I don't know if you've seen it, Chloe. Like, one of the handballs, I've seen the linesman go like this to the ref.
Yeah, I saw it, and we all saw the I think it was the 3 consecutive ones in the box.
Yeah.
And it was like, how blind can you be? They are complete handballs. And it's just, for me, it was just like, why aren't they being given? And we know it through the men's game, Maisy, that handballs aren't easily given anymore. If you gave a penalty for a handball or a free kick for a handball, it goes to VAR. And again, that's where them decisions are made. And obviously, if you score off an offside position, in the men's game you get that VAR checked, in the women's game you don't. So again, that costs games. That could be the win or the loss of a game. So for me, if we are seeing VAR in the next season or in the next couple of seasons, then we need the refs up to the standard as well, up to the same standard as well, and not having different referees where one would have probably gave the handballs and another one might not have given them. And we can't have that. They've all got to be on the same page. And yeah, all on the same page of VAR as well. But that doesn't make sense for us not to have the right choices given to us. And yeah, it's not always off the refs because they can't see it, but their other eyes are the linesmen. And if they can't see it and the referee can't see it, then why don't we have VAR in the WSL yet? Because we need them to see.
Referees are shocking.
Exactly. And just to touch on the Millie Turner bit, just quickly, I think, like you say, Maisy, I didn't see any criticism about Mary, but saw a lot on Millie. And for her to come on Twitter and stick and put her hands up and say, "Sorry, it was my mistake. It was a big one," and her to do that, it takes guts. She didn't need to do it. She didn't have to do it. But for me, she's more than likely seen that criticism on Twitter and had to go on and defend herself about it. And all players make their mistakes. All players make mistakes at the wrong time, and that was just the wrong time where either Mary didn't hear Millie call, or Millie didn't hear any of the players shout "man on," "dance behind you," didn't hear anyone shout that to her, and that's the mistake she made. And for me, Millie's a very experienced player that right now we can't leave her out of the squad. We can't do that because she is that vital centre-back partnership with Maya. And the only other person I could see bringing on is Mannion, but she's only just coming back from her second ACL. And for me to put Mannion straight in the starting 11 over Millie Turner would be a very big risk. So, like you said, Maisy, keep Millie in because of what she's done, and she does make a couple of mistakes per game, but what player doesn't make mistakes? And for me, that was one of her worst mistakes in the game. But she didn't have to come out onto Twitter, onto Instagram to apologise for making that mistake.
You don't see just Millie Turner though. Leah Williamson has done it as well.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of the big names have come out and gone and I hold my hands up. It was my mistake. But that's because they might have heard commentators or have been told what the commentators have said or seen what's been put on Twitter. And this is what social media is doing at the minute. It's mental health. It's players can see it. Even if you don't tag the players in the tweets, players will see it because people will retweet it. Family members see it and pass it on to players and so forth. And it does eventually get round to them. And this is where social media hurts players. And this is why players feel the need to come out and apologise when they don't need to. And for me, it takes guts for for players and people to do that. And obviously, I replied to Millie's tweet and said it. And I don't even know. I don't think I follow Millie's mum, but she liked my tweet, and it just shows that families do look at their own, their kids' tweets and look at the replies and stuff. So if you think that her mum's looked at my tweet and it was a positive one, think of how many tweets that she's seen and they're all negative about Millie and what she might have passed on to Millie or what she's not passed on because she doesn't want to upset her anymore. These are the things that we've now got to we've got to think about before tweeting. And other fan bases and other stuff, they have to think about what negative tweets do to players, even when it's not not their fault that they've done a mistake in a game.
Mm-hmm. Have you got any last thoughts, Andy, before we go on to who we got in the final?
It's difficult because it's like trying to get eggs out of a baked cake. There's a lot of issues there that have been mixed together a little bit. Like, just to be clear, I wasn't advocating dropping Millie. What I was saying is that she's making big mistakes at least twice every couple of games. And there is a difference.
I knew you meant long term.
Yeah, we knew.
And there is a difference between, I'm trying to think of other players that have done it throughout their career. Four went through a period of time where she did that, but then she got trained out of it. Zalem does it on quite a regular basis, so I didn't do it last weekend. And I find it interesting that, as you say, we all love Millie. I love Millie. We don't criticize her. You hear very little criticism of her in the same manner that you would with Zalem. And I would say maybe even some of the stuff that I've said about Zalem, even though it's always been football related, has maybe been a bit too personal, because it's just interesting how you build a narrative. Probably same with Skinner, because I don't like him, but I've never really met him. So why have I got to a point where I literally don't like the human now? So it's an interesting psychological discussion. I haven't seen, to be honest, I don't spend a lot of time looking at, like, there's a lot of anonymous accounts off different fan base, random letters and pictures of various players. A lot of them hide behind, like, if they're an Arsenal fan, they might have Leo Williamson's picture on there, for example, rather than their own, or something like that. I think there is obviously an issue with mean tweets. Obviously, I believe there's that real scars campaign that England have started.
Yeah.
Whether or not she came on whether or not she came online to address the tweets, we're never going to know. I didn't see how many of them were personally. I think it's a very, very fine line, because you sound like an arsehole when you make the statement, well, you can't baby these people. If they play badly, you've got to say they play badly. But it's more nuanced than that. It always has to stay as a playing behavior. So for example, if you were saying, shocker from Millie there, but glad we got the win, don't tag her in it. But that state would be fine. If you tagged her in it and somebody said, my dog can play better than you, you're awful, go jump off a bridge, which some of them do, then that's way wrong and they should be banned. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the difference, really. One's like a discussion about football, a discussion about players, and it's giving them respect as a player to say, I love Mary massively. I said straight away that it was a howler what happened. But obviously I then said, perfect. What's it called? Perfect. Perfect. World class doesn't mean perfect. I think there's two issues there. There's issues a bit around social media abuse, which is abhorrent and should be condemned completely. But if you are saying, I don't know, I think the sort of middle ground is you shouldn't tag a player into tweets that are negative. Definitely. But then with Elon Musk's Twitter, I see things of people that I've even blocked or that, like, I don't even follow. So I would say with a club like United, with resources that they have, I would say that they have to provide them with mental health support, with social media training, the filters that are available. I know there's various filters that verified accounts get that we don't. And it's possible she came on to deal with the tweets. But to be fair, I don't think she did. And my reason is because normally they mention it, don't they? I know Beth Mead has some horrible tweets, and her dad went out on the defensive on that. But she didn't sort of reference it at all in her tweet. It felt a little bit more like when some of the United men's players I've seen on Instagram have gone, sorry about that, guys, but we got the win, or we're going to learn from that. Or it felt a bit more like maybe I don't know, maybe we're not going to know. We're never going to know. But maybe it was more to do with somebody somewhere, some guru, some PR guy said, well, if you send a tweet like that, sorry for your mistake, it makes your fans connected with you. Or, it might be like a reason like that rather than rather than something else. But yeah, obviously I don't think he abuse. I'm just saying it is quite a complicated issue.
I think as well, like you were touching on there, Andy, as well, like tagging players into negative tweets is a no, but even just mentioning them in the tweet, players will still see that. Like you said, like with how Twitter is now, you've got a following page and you've got a For You page. So I see tweets that I'm not even following people on. And if that's coming up on players' Twitter because they're tagging in Manchester United or they're mentioning the word Manchester United or FA Cup, they're going to see that. And like that's the thing that's wrong. And that for me is where we need to drop like negative tweets, tagging them in it, mentioning them, the names in it, don't need to happen. And like you touched on as well, and Beth didn't need to reference what she tweeted and where her dad came into it, because a lot of fans will have known what she has been going through, so she didn't need to mention it. And for her dad to come on, that the defense of Beth must have been something that's got to not just Beth but the entire family, and that they're still grieving the loss of June. And for her dad to come on and defend Beth in the way he did was what happened in that moment. And that parents shouldn't have to come on there. Parents shouldn't have to be doing that. They like, even if Beth hadn't she's probably not referenced, quote tweeted any of the tweets, because she wouldn't have done. But a lot of fans, a lot of people on Twitter that have seen what have been tweeted towards Beth will have known what Beth was going on about, and will have even searched like Beth Mead, and it will come under that. Even if you search it and she's not tagged in it, it will come under the search bar for Beth Mead. So for me, we need to start drawing a line under negative tweets, because it will affect players, and players will end up taking a step away from football, which we don't want.
What do you mean by negative tweets, though? That's the only thing, because that what we've discussed is abhorrent with Beth Mead. But say Martha Thomas had a terrible game on Wednesday. Are you saying that there should say she had a brilliant game, or are you advocating just not even mentioning her performance?
No, I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just mentioning, not even saying you're shit in the game, or saying stuff like you shouldn't play for this team and stuff like that. Mention things like it wasn't your best game. You could have done this, could have done that. In terms of that.
So obviously we're not talking to the player, are we? So say I don't know, Martha down the wing tonight, not for me. I prefer a different option for Chelsea or something like that. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
More so of going down the negative route of bringing personal stuff into it.
Yeah, it's got to be football related
and less football game related. I've seen more negative stuff in terms of more personal stuff like that.
Yeah, I do see what you mean. Yeah, I see what you mean completely. And I just think for me is you do see a lot of it, especially where you see negative tweets and say you're just so slow, you're crap, and then you bring into your fake tan is just horrendous. Why are you even at Manchester United? I look at it and think, what's the fake tan got to do?
Yeah, I think one of the ones that Alex Greenwood said was that was it Georgia Stanway when she got sent off because she essentially assaulted Leah Galton, that she had people saying that she hopes her periods are painful and stuff like that on Twitter. It is pretty bad.
That's what I mean in terms of negative, where we can say you didn't have your best game today, but good luck in your next game and stuff like that. That's all right. But bringing personal stuff into it, bringing appearances into it, isn't needed. That's the bit where it's not needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I agree with that. Just wanted to say hey there to Brush, who was in the chat earlier on. I hope that you are well. So we've got our finalist. Unfortunately, it's not the one who we wanted. We've got to face these lot for a third time. Chelsea, going to be at Wembley. So for the first time in history, Manchester United women is going to Wembley. But a lot of outrage, let's just say, has come across to the Manchester United and probably even Chelsea's fan base as well, actually. Both the fan bases are going to be probably very annoyed because if you're looking at each fans individually, ours is best, like no question about that. But Chelsea's are probably going to have to be contending with second out with Arsenal's away kind of ones. So I can understand both of them are going to be very, very annoyed in that case. So I'll let you touch on that first of all, Andy, and explain what's what.
I'm going to get a drink, so I'll let Chloe start on that one.
Go on, Chloe.
Yeah. So basically, what's happened is today the tickets have been announced of what the allocation is for both teams and overall. So overall, 65,000 have already been sold, and that's for neutral. For probably the sponsors, for the family, maybe even the families as well. So then, what's then been announced is that 8,000 tickets, or rounded up to 8,000 tickets, have been allocated to each team. 8,000 tickets for United fans, 8,000 tickets for Chelsea fans. So what that means is, in the window of what we have to in the terms of how it's going to work out in terms for us buying, is that the first window is for women's season ticket holders. They have the priority. Then the second window is for men's season ticket holders, and then the third option is obviously with whatever tickets are left is for the general sale. So it just shows that 8,000 tickets, where the standing section will be, has around 900, I think, that maybe rounding it up. So that would then leave nearly 7,100 tickets to be sold in the rest of the women's season ticket holders, plus the men's season ticket holders and the general sale. For me, it's not enough. For me, we should get a lot more. What they have done with them tickets, I don't know. Because at the end of the day, the stadium holds nearly 90,000.
Yeah,
and we're only getting 16,000 altogether for both ends, plus then 65. We're still not full. So where are the rest of the tickets? Why haven't we got another 2,000 for 10,000? And same with Chelsea. If they are wanting to go the game, you're wanting the most for the fans. And I think as well, in terms of like the prices haven't been announced yet, because as you can see on the website, you have to go on to United's website and link up and get the. Andy will touch on it a bit more because he's done it today. But you have to link tickets if you're wanting to buy in bulk, and the tickets go on sale Wednesday, I think it is. Andy, am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've had a drink now, so my voice isn't going to go. So I can look into what's going on. Yeah. So basically, the problem that we've got here now. Look, I am a Man United diehard women's fan, but I also keep an eye on Barcelona. If anything, they're probably my second team now. So that's a bit woe-so. But I think it's more acceptable because it's a different league to the team that you're in. The problem is, and we can scream it from the rooftops, but the FA ain't going to listen because essentially it's all about insurance. They didn't know who was going to be in the final. I believe last year it was Chelsea, and it wasn't full. No. It was near full, but it wasn't full. So they just see it as a big insurance thing. They're going to open up Wembley. How many thousands is that going to cost with all the things? So they want as many people there. They don't give a damn if it's like a diehard, United and Chelsea fan who's, grown up there, passionate, spends a lot of money, or if it's like Walter the weirdo who watches 25 different games a day and supports 25 different teams. They just want people in Wembley. And I think that there's a couple of issues, really. I was listening to a couple of a men's fan, person I now got some free friends with, and she was telling me they did the same with the Carabao. They had a neutral bit and the two ends, but the ends were 16,000 each, not 8.
Where was the final being played for the Conti Cup though?
The Carabao for the Carabao.
No, the Carabao.
Yeah, I was talking to a men's fan. So they did the same method of they did the same method of the neutral bit in the middle and two ends, but the numbers were a lot higher, 16 each on each end. Now that would be something at least, because we were trying to work out what was going on, and like the last figure I was given before the Euros, we had roughly about 2,000 women's season ticket holders. Let's just say you've now got 3,000. So let's take, and I've heard off a journo that it's actually 7,850 per end. So let's take 3,000 off that. Shit, you're already down to 3,850. And
on top of that, just to interrupt, the Wednesday priority one is also for next season ticket holders as well, not just this season. So there's going to be a lot more people who's going to be... I've seen a lot of people who's been saying, I've bought a ticket for next year's season ticket, So that's already... Like, say, for example, this 3,000, there's going to be maybe even 4,000 who's got season tickets.
So I think the reason why people are getting worried is that there's probably going to be no general sale tickets available. That's what the issue is going to be. And there's just no need to get like that. Now, obviously... I'm not a men's fan, but I've heard how it works. People can't guarantee, even if you had unlimited money, people can't guarantee away as they go into ballots. So, so you will have a situation in the men's game where not every diehard United fan would get to watch the team at Wembley. Not every diehard Chelsea fan will get to watch the team at Wembley. But there's no need to get to that point just to have a load of day trippers in the neutral end. Now, as I say, don't get me wrong. I know people support multiple teams. I don't necessarily see as much of a problem with that as I used to, but to have it majority neutral, you literally just open it up on a silver platter. All the people that say it's soulless, the level's not the same, the noise is not the same, and another thing as well that I pointed out on Twitter earlier, the word they've used is issued, not sold. So I know they're all not free, but I wonder how many of them have been comped out to various people, giving us complimentary tickets. Because I don't think we need to do that anymore in the women's game. Look at how many people were at the Film Elisma on Thursday last week. They paid £50 a ticket for Cat 1 tickets. You don't need to give freebies out, but, are the FA going to listen? Probably not. And I've heard off men's fans about TV rights that Sky don't give a crap. Me and Chloe were up in the middle of the night because we went to Brighton away on a 11:30 slot where I've heard of numerous people that they were told that slot would never be used for long distance games. It would always be for like City versus United, sort of very close local teams. They've just broken that rule because it wasn't a rule. It was like a handshake agreement. And there's going to be a lot of disappointed people. And I just hope that there isn't going to be too many buy your ticket for $4,000 on Ticketmaster. But maybe a lot of
You can only buy up to 8, though, which is a good thing at least. You're not going to have them kind of people who's going to say, like,
I don't know what the limit was in the neutral end. That's what I mean. Some people in the neutral end now know it's sold out might start selling on secondary markets. Yeah,
that's true. Vincent said, thank you for coming in, Vincent. I think local schools will be given tickets. Yeah. I remember when I was in high school, because obviously you obviously know my high school was near the Manchester City ground, and they used to give away free tickets to the Manchester City women's games.
Yeah, I heard that as well, and I think it's all good giving it to kids because it gets them into the local one. But giving them to kids for Wembley, I don't think it should be. I don't agree with that. I think more so if you give the tickets to Manchester schools, to these schools, to go to the United games at the Sports Village, the City games at the Academy Stadium, but for it to be given to school kids to go to Wembley for it and it be free, then it's one of them, like, why are you doing that? For kids it's probably going to be 15 quid, 20 quid for a kid. So you'll have to pay that every game you go to. So why not just instead of giving free tickets out, put them tickets on sale for us to buy, and then give more allocation to the teams that are willing to go, that have probably 5,000 season ticket holders and others like that, and play people who can't go. Like, I've got 2 friends who don't have season tickets because they play on a Sunday, so they didn't want to get season tickets when they couldn't go to every game. But they potentially are going to miss out on getting tickets to go to Wembley because they're not season ticket holders and they've not got a membership number. So for me, I don't think it's fair that people are getting free tickets when people who generally do go to games and getting the tickets on general sale.
I agree.
I totally forgot, by the way, about the link, and you're right. So basically, anyone who wants to buy for United, as Chloe correctly pointed out, Wednesday is for women's season ticket holders.
And next seasons as well.
And next season, do you have to be both either or technically?
I don't know. I think you can be either or, because there's people who I've seen where they said, "Oh, I've bought like every single women's football game this season, and it's already paid more than what the season ticket cost, so I bought a season ticket."
Yeah. So basically, and then the men's. We're going to mention about men. The men's season ticket holders get. I mean, I understand it's ridiculous, but I do understand if you're literally paying 800 quid a year to a company, they've got to technically treat you all right. I get it to an extent, but I still think it's unfair. And then obviously general sale after that. Hopefully, it won't happen, but hopefully, if they did maybe a buyback scheme for people in the neutral zone who now don't want to watch Chelsea United, like at face value, like they did at the Euros, rather than going on Ticketmaster for 4 times, 5 times the amount, that might help. But it's a it's shot them in the foot massively with the FA. But obviously, I mean, we're just trying to sort out. But yeah, Lincoln, I'm getting distracted. Lincoln. So basically, if you want to buy at any point, you need to log on to United, but the actual ticket bit. So you go on the women's team tickets. You're logged in because your first name will show on the top right hand side, and you'll have a number, your fan number, and then it isn't blooming obvious, but you have to click on your account. And then there's loads of different options, and one of them is linked accounts. And essentially what you have to do is you have to know everybody that you want to go with, your mates, supporters numbers, and either their surname, well, I hope you know their surname if you're mates with them, or postcode. So essentially what you have to do is click on if they have a strong relationship or a standard relationship with them. I'm not even joking, by the way. A strong relationship means they have full access to your profile and can sign you up for God knows what. Chloe is a strong relationship to mine now, apparently. So please don't do that. I'm poor. And vice versa, though. So, and everybody else is standard. But essentially, standard just lets you do it for tickets, is what I should have done. It's the first time I've done it. So essentially, you link them all ahead of time. And then when you go and purchase, obviously, you select your seats. And it will come up with your name, say, in my case, 6 times for 6 people. So what you then have to do is click edit on each ticket and put in who you want to go there. Does that make sense? So if you're already linked, and say I was doing it for us lot, it would say Maisy Hall, Chloe Riley would be a name option. So I just click on you, it becomes your ticket. Click on me, I'll have to pay for all of them, and then they get sent. They get sent to them. and then they pay you, basically, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hey there, Ian. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. I feel like we need to win. This is an opportunity, especially with their injuries, meaning Chelsea, I believe. Hey there, Niall. Thank you for coming in. Hope you are well. Good evening to you as well, Tualumba. I hope you are well. Thanks for coming in. I am scared we might not beat Chelsea. Good thing is it's only 50-50. Anyone could win anywhere. Hey there, Luman. I hope you are well. Thank you for coming into the chat. Good evening to Paul. Thank you for coming in. Hope that you are well. And good evening, Static. Thank you for coming in. Hope you are well. He's also said get better soon to you, Amanda. Vincent said
I am fine. I just haven't spoken with this much for that long.
Vincent said, I don't have a season ticket for the men's or membership. And when I phoned up today, they said I could buy a ticket for the women's final.
Ooh.
That's just either wrong, or as in they've just told them the wrong information.
Or is that general sale?
Yeah, possibly said don't worry. Yeah, because they're not going to know. If you're a standard ticket person at United and you don't work at Lee, you might think, oh, there'll be tickets available for it.
Another thing is as well is unless we don't we don't know, unless the way that they're going to do it, because they are because they have said that there's going to be three slots, that you say in women's season ticket holders there's only going to be 3,000 tickets available. In men's there's going to be 3,000. In general say there's going to be 2,000, and do it that way, and there's only so many in each block that you're going to be able to get. That's another way that I'm thinking.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, so we'll go on to the actual game now. I did do a preview earlier on with Sophie. She's an Arsenal women's supporter, and one thing that she did say was Katie McCabe is suspended for the game, and I must be honest, I was literally like, I can't go with Katie McCabe and her roughness and feistiness in the game.
Exactly, and I think she's the most threat for Arsenal, and for her to be suspended in this game is crucial for them, because obviously today they've just announced Kim Little has a hamstring injury, which is ruled her out for the rest of the season. So again, another big name injured in Arsenal's squad. So it's going to be interesting to see who's fit enough, because I think Steph Catley and Leah Valti are back in the squad, back training. So whether Steph Catley is going to be available for the game on Wednesday, we'll need to see, because she obviously picked up an injury before international break. So it's going to be interesting to see who Arsenal have and who Arsenal have available, because if they don't have a full squad, if they don't have a strong lineup, as long as we keep Leah Williamson and other Blackstenius and Leah Huntinger and Caitlin Ford out of our area, and obviously we don't play silly passes, then we can win this game. Because if we win this game, we go 4 points clear of Chelsea with a game in hand for them. They'll have 2 games in hand, but it'll be important for us to know that we can still have that chance to be at least a point further on than they are with their game in hand. So it's definitely going to be interesting, because and another thing is Jonas isn't going to want to play all of his top players the full 90 minutes, because they've got a big game on their hands at weekend. They're going to be playing Wolfsburg in the Champions League semi-final on Sunday, and he'll be wanting to rest players, make sure they're fit enough to play that game, and to just hope that he's got no injuries in the run-up to important games. Whereas we then, after today's game, we've got a full week to rest our players for the next game against Tottenham. So it's going to be interesting to see who we start compared to who Arsenal start.
Yeah. I mean, my concern with the game is that as much as we would love, and I've shown Maisy the video again, and to rewatch what happened at Arsenal with the Russo goal, when we beat them away at theirs when we were away, and as United fans, that makes us all warm and fuzzy inside. That's going to really wind up the Arsenal team if they're really going to want to win on Wednesday because we embarrass them in their big stadium. I think any manager with half a brain would be using that in their team talk. Let's show them who we are, and all this kind of thing. I agree that, to be honest, the issue is going to be for them the Champions League against Wolfsburg that weekend. I think whether or not Jonas would actually sacrifice the league for the semi-final, maybe subconsciously, I'm not sure. If anything, Wolfsburg might benefit from it. I think he's more likely to go hell for leather and not really think about the weekend. And then Wolfsburg might go, thank you very much, when they play on the Sunday, but we're not really going to know. I think, unfortunately, it reminds me a little bit of when we played Chelsea earlier in the season at home. It's the best time to play Arsenal, but we still lost against Chelsea. They've got lots and lots of injuries. We're doing well. We've had a quick turnaround, obviously, from the game on Saturday. But I think we have the opportunity to really, as Chloe said, make a statement. And we need that third place more than anything else. And if you look at the table, I don't know if Maisy's got it hanging around or not.
I do have it.
It is.
I always have it hanging around.
It is very, 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 very close. And a couple of stupid decisions and we're out of the top three. That's just the way it is at the moment. City are quite on 38 points, I believe.
Can you see it?
Yeah, zoom in a bit for me.
I'll zoom in a bit.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, so Arsenal played a game less than City, but they're on 38 points, same as City. We're on 41, they're on 40. It's very, very tight. Yeah, I would say that there's going to be a group of people in Germany that'll be very happy on Wednesday. They'll be cheering us on, maybe the Wolfsburg fans, but I think it's going to struggle for them to do both. So it's just depending on what they're going to struggle in. Are they going to let us have a better crack at the whip, thinking that we might bottle it, or are they going to let Wolfsburg have a better crack at the whip on Sunday?
Mm-hmm. I'm literally looking at our table, like just looking away from the top three. Why the hell is Leicester still lingering around like a bad smell? Like, why? Why? Who keeps
Scroll down.
Go down, see what Brighton's on. That's them. The bottom three is looking like a tasty relegation battle because there's 2 points in it. So
you can even say bottom four actually because of Tottenham.
Exactly, and Brighton have 2 games on Leicester, Reading, and Tottenham. So with them 2 games, if they win both of them games, obviously the 6 points, they move above Tottenham, which pushes Leicester back down. It's going to be a tasty last day of the season because it's Brighton Leicester on the final day.
Mm-hmm. Hey there, Liam. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Yep, absolutely. Great result indeed. Let's look at Arsenal's last so many fixtures anyway. Take away the Champions League. They've got us. They've got Leicester, Brighton, Everton, Chelsea, Villa. And to be honest, that's a very, very hard run to think of because Brighton's not going to want to get relegated. It's at their ground. This Leicester, they're not going to want to get relegated. They're only 1 point in it. Aston Villa, I think that will probably, if anything, Aston Villa and Everton's going to be their easiest games.
Maybe.
Even the game against Aston Villa, I think that's going to be crucial because the top 3 might not even have been decided by that point, with it being the final day of the season. They could play, obviously, and obviously we all play at the same time, so it doesn't clash in terms of play when we find out the results. But we could be in first, Chelsea could be second, Arsenal could be third, and City could be fourth, and it all still goes down to the final day of the season on who wins, who gets them top 3. And obviously, in between them games as well, I think it might be after the games, is the Women's Champions League final. So if they get there and they win the Women's Champions League final but miss out on the top 3, Arsenal could still get into the Champions League by winning it. And same with Chelsea. If Chelsea don't win the league, but they still get in through the top 3, then that's the chance where Arsenal misses out. So really, it all depends on the top 3, top 4, and if Chelsea and Arsenal both get in the Champions League final as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and looking at Chelsea's run here as well, they've got more games than what us and Arsenal's going to have. They've got Barcelona, obviously just as Arsenal's playing, but they've got the FA Cup final. They've also got to play two relegation teams as well, of Leicester and Reading. Yeah. So that's going to be 2 interesting games, isn't it, as well, Andy?
Yeah, it is. And obviously by the 27th, is it going to be sorted by then? You know, I think Reading could be in the fight with Leicester to go down. As I said, I have a soft spot for Brighton, so I'm hoping they will stay up. But I think just objectively with their new manager, they've got a chance. But I mean, yeah, going back to the game we've got on Wednesday, I think it's going to be interesting because Skinner hasn't had that long to prepare them for Arsenal. If you think about the game that was played on Saturday, you know, the guy doesn't like pressure very much. That's why he has press conferences on a Tuesday for a game at the weekend. He can't do that game anymore. Game anymore.
Why did he not do this press conference for Arsenal?
Well, yeah, this is it. He hasn't done it yet, so maybe he's going to do it tomorrow. But that's what I mean. It's 24 hours before the game. Oh, I think Claire must have had a call. I know she goes on the phone, but yeah, I think to be honest, it's going to be a great game. I think it's definitely more doable than a Chelsea at the minute because we've beaten them before, and that psychological barrier isn't there. But hopefully we can beat Chelsea in the FA Cup final for the first time, and what a way to get over the barrier for that.
Mm-hmm. For Santa's in the chat, Chelsea fan, also fan of the Chelsea women. You can't win the title with this game, but surely you can lose the title if you lose here. Would love to have streamed the game, but got pushed back. Can't wait for Chelsea, Barcelona. And he also said Aston Villa pushed us to the brink, and we were unlucky. Not to win yesterday. We're unlucky not to win yesterday. I must be honest, though, I do agree with what Prasanna has said here, Chloe, is we can't win the title with this game, but we can lose the title if we lose this game.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry about that just before the stream kicked me out. Yeah, 100%. We can't win it in this game, but yeah, we can lose it because if we lose that game, we're only a point. We're a point more than Chelsea, level on points with Arsenal, and I don't know how it would work. I think we would still be top because of goal difference. I don't know if you could get the table up, Maisy.
Yeah, I'll get the table back up. I literally just looking at Man City's fixtures. I think it depends on. Well, to be fair, it depends on if they hammer us. Let's just say.
Yeah,
if they like.
I thought that. Yeah, I thought it would be more that they would have to, because I think we've got the best in the league.
Yeah, we've got the best by 7, so Arsenal's got the second best, so they need to beat us by 7 or more. By goals.
7. So for me, we would, if we were to win, we obviously would go 4 points clear of Chelsea. If Arsenal were to win, they go on the same points as us. But if we both draw, we go 2 points more than Chelsea. And that just shows that we have to win this game to stay top. We have to be able to keep that point in between us and Chelsea. Because if we don't, and Chelsea win all their next games, they're more than likely will win the league. And then that's what comes down to the next 2, who finishes second, who finishes third, because City and Arsenal both on the same points, but Arsenal are in 3rd spot because of goal difference. So, like we always say, goal difference is key. Score the goals, don't concede. And that's what's important. We need to score more goals in the game to keep our goal difference higher.
To be fair, we've done better this year with goal difference. I think Skinner had to look it up in the dictionary last season, but this year he seems to have found it. So I'm quite happy with that. We have actually scored a lot more. But I agree completely with what Chloe's saying. And there's just silly games we could trip up on. We've got to play Tottenham at home again. Just if anything, I can see a world where we beat Arsenal, we win the FA Cup final, and lose against Tottenham at home at LSV. It's just random.
Oh, don't say that. Oh,
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
Say that. Don't say that. I've done my predicted lineup. I don't think there's going to be much changes, even though we have played on Saturday. Skinner's going to probably look at it and think we've got over a week's break here. We're next playing next Friday, so this is my predicted lineup for the game. So the only change I had was Nikita Paris to come in for Garcia.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what he's doing with Garcia Villamarisa, because I think one of our friends on Twitter pointed out that maybe she said when she started against Brighton, I bet your Skinner starts VBR today and benches it for the FA Cup semi-final. That's exactly what he did. I think, yeah, it depends, because that's a very short turnaround in the women's game. I agree with you logically. Paris would be the choice for me. Garcia on the bench maybe to come on. Galton's doing too well to drop. Will we see Jade Riviera? But would you do it against Arsenal? You know, she's a top-class player, but it's a big game.
Arsenal. Didn't she get an assist for Canada?
Yeah. Yeah, she got an assist. I'm same as Andy there. I'll keep Paris. Change it. I don't think there would be any other changes within that or within the team from Saturday. Like we always say, it's always the wingers that get changed, get swapped. But I would like to see Bo Risa in. I would like that, but I don't think it will happen. I don't think he'll start.
The only way I could see it is if they done it. If he done it like, well, Skinner doesn't change formation. Skinner is just, this is the only way I would play Bo Risa, because he won't drop Toon, so he'd drop Lad. So this is the way I would personally do it if he was going to play Bo Risa. So to play 2 10s.
Yeah, I agree. I think if Bo Risa is gonna start, she's gonna start like that. But with it being against Arsenal, I can't see that getting dropped.
No, I think it'd be criminal. What did you say?
Martha Thomas for Leah, I disagree, but I'm thinking he could do. He's put her on to start quite a lot on the wing.
I wouldn't with Leah because of the pace. Leah on the wing against Steph Catley or I can't remember the one.
The thing is, though, what the problem is like if Bo Risa was to start, I would worry about Zelen playing that defensive minded, because I know Vincent loves Katie Zelen, but she gets massively caught out defensively, and we can't do that when you've got Blackstenius and you've got Pelova. I really, really rate Pelova, by the way. I think she's absolutely superb.
Yeah, I do. I rate her. She's a good young Dutch player, up and coming talent, and she's probably one of the best youngsters coming in the WSL right now that isn't an England player. So we need to make sure that if she does start, that whoever's marking her, whoever's tackling her, has got the eye, knows where she is, because she is very quick, and she gets from one side to the other with the ball without being tackled, and she's shown that both for Holland and both for Arsenal. So for me, she's their threat.
I have one controversial thing though. Millie Turner for Mannion.
Oh,
you know what? I just had a thought. We were discussing about Arsenal and how they're going to play with Wolfsburg breathing down the neck.
Yeah.
Are we going to see what Skinner's decision was on Saturday? Because if you think about it, you should say that what's he going to do? If we were doing this as a preview last week, you might be saying, well, what's Skinner going to do? Is he going to go hell for leather in the semi-final with a view to the league game that's so important on the Wednesday, or is he going to put all of his best players on the league game and wobble with the semi? In reality, he played a very strong team against Brighton. So I wonder whether we will see players, and normally we wouldn't expect to start against Arsenal simply because in the women's game, unlike the men's, they're not used to that 3 or 4 day turnaround. Like, I'm not saying they haven't got they do it in tournaments, but I'm just saying, it just occurred to me, it's the same debate what are Arsenal going to do with Wolfsburg, breathing down the neck, as you would have been having about United last week. What we're going to do with Brighton and Arsenal. So we're going to see Skinner's hand on Wednesday. Are we going to see Manu for one of the defenders because it's too much for one of the other defenders to do in 3 days? Are we going to see Thomas, which would normally be a downgrade from Leah, just simply because Leah in 3 days of that level is she going to be on the bench? It's going to be fascinating. But just see, I never really thought about that before.
Yeah, and another thing, just touching on what Andy was saying, like in terms of league and stuff. If we think about when the teams were playing midweek for like the group stages and everything, Chelsea and Arsenal would either play on the Saturday or the Sunday, and then they would have to play the Wednesday or the Thursday. So they're more than likely going to be used to this 3 games, game weekend, game midweek, game weekend, game midweek. And we see it a lot in the men's game, how they have to do it, how they've got to catch up on games because of the World Cup. And it now just seems that this is what's being brought into the women's game to show that women can play the same amount of games. So for us to go out and win the FA Cup semi-final on Saturday, and then we've only, like we touched on, we've only got a 3-day run up to Arsenal, one of our biggest games of the season, and we win that, we can prove to the other fans that here is United. We can play 3 games. We can play a game 3 days after another game, and we are prepared for the Champions League. So for us, this is good preparation for the Champions League in terms of games in between.
And on top of that, though, I know we haven't had overly much experience, but we have played Conti Cup mid-game, and we've had the league in the weekend as well.
Yeah.
I know this is going to be a lot more of a bigger test because we've had the FA Cup semi-final, then we've had the league. But I do think under the same breath is that, as I've always said, if you want to be a top team, you need to have that kind of consistency. And on top of that, you're going to, a good manager, bad manager, you're going to need to make the rotations.
Exactly. And I think we are going to see some rotations, whether it is that instead of Nikita Paris and Lucia Garcia, Martha Thomas starts instead, then that might be another option. Or Bo Risa starts, like you said, instead of Lad, or instead of Toon, and give Toon a rest. But
Toon won't ever be dropped.
But yeah, exactly. Toon won't be dropped. But if he's going to make changes, then that's where changes are going to be made. I can't see them being a change in the back 4. I think that's the only 4 that are solid, unless Millie or Maya go, I need a break, I want to be on the bench, and he brings in Manu, Norton and Cara, and it does that way. But for me, the back 4 are solid back 4, and it's just the wingers and the midfield on. Do you bring in Bo Risa, and who do you start on the wing? Who do you rest? And what's the best starting formation against a team that we could potentially beat for a Champions League spot?
I agree, but for the formation, it's only he's a one-trick pony. What's the formation he does?
4-2-3-1. And you know what? When my mate went to the game, my friend said about you could tell that Skinner doesn't like to change the formation. It was kind of like, oh, I take off one striker for another striker. Like, why not take off a midfielder and put on a striker? Because you've got 2 players up front then.
Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe he hasn't got that far in the coaching manual. No, he's obviously a what's it, UEFA A, I think is the requirement for the WSL, the same as the men's. He's a professional A grade coach, surprisingly. But anyway.
Rabi's gone for a 3-2 win for Man United. I'm worried.
That was the score, wasn't it, that we had at their place? So I don't know if we're going to go there again.
Nah, I can't see it, to be honest.
Can't definitely Chloe again.
We'll go into a couple of the comments, couple of questions, and then we'll wrap up. Question from Ravi. Thoughts on how Arsenal approached this game, knowing that United beat them at the Emirates? We touched on it slightly already. I'll go with that for you, Chloe.
I think Arsenal going to... I think it doesn't matter for Arsenal in terms of how they approach it after us beating them at Emirates. I think they're going to go out there, play the game that they always play the way they always play, and just approach the game with a different aspect. Because when we played them at Emirates, they had Kate McKay playing, but they didn't have Leah Williamson because she was still injured. So for me, you're taking out a strong player and bringing in another strong player, in terms of you're bringing in Leah, who is going to captain the side. And for us, I think in terms of how Arsenal are going to approach it, they're just going to approach it the way they always approach games, in terms of they go out there and win it. And in their heads, they're going to know we've got to make sure we're not injured because we've got a semi-final coming up. And that's probably more on their minds than this game is. But both games for them are going to be games that they need to win, and this is the first one, so this takes priority. So their approach is just going to be the same as how they approached us at Emirates, because at the end of the day, we beat them in the last, I think it was 5 minutes of the game. So it just shows that anything can happen in them last minutes of the game.
We'll go. This is a question for us all from Reese. Who was the best player for United versus Brighton, in your opinion? Oh, this is going to be a tough one. Andy, let's go with you for this one.
Leah. It's a confidence and the consistency. You know, most of our attacks went through her. The ability to get out the blocks, second half, and 48 seconds later score. If I wasn't going to say Leah because it's easy to go for the goal scorer, you could say Rachel Williams, but she wasn't there for the full game, and she got player of the match mainly because she got the winner. But I would say for those who played most of the game, Leah.
What about you, Chloe?
I would actually say Honor, because she stopped Katie Robinson getting further upfield. She stopped a lot of balls getting past her. Obviously the dribbling and the passing in to get to the box, and obviously sending that cross for Leah for Leah. That was just an insane passive play, and for me, I could have picked Hannah Blundell as well, because she was like the same with Honor, in passing quickly. She was getting up the wings, crossing in the box when it was needed, cutting inside, passing, and she was always back. She was stopping Brighton wingers from getting further upfield. And for me, if I was going to choose a player on Brighton's side, it would be Kate Robinson, because she was very good on the ball, and in terms of how she crossed the ball and her passage of play, she's going to be a very good player for the Lionesses coming up in the future. And it just shows that she's going to be off to a top team very soon.
Us, apparently.
Yeah.
We're linked with her.
Ain't she supposed to be our Russo replacement?
Yeah.
Calm down.
No, but I don't mean it as in like she's as good as Russo.
It's a bit too far, you know. It's like when you see a baby that's just born and said that guy's going to play for United in 2040 odd. You don't really gonna know. There's a bit of a gap. She is very good, but yeah, no, we are linked with her. I don't know if it's a Russo replacement.
That's what I read. She was supposed to be an Russo replacement.
Yeah,
but
I've read it.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go one different because I do agree with both of yous. I'm gonna have to just go with Rachel Williams though. I think for me, I think it really says a lot that Rachel Williams has got near enough the same goals as Russo, who everyone calls world class. This is Rachel Williams, an old player who doesn't know how to score. Russo, world-class player, could get into any team, nearly getting the same amount of goals in all competitions. I think it's either this. I think Rachel Williams has been spectacular. I think the run she made was brilliant. She's getting into them great spaces, and that's the kind of striker that you need. I think if Rachel Williams is playing the same amount of minutes as Russo, I'm actually gonna say a controversial thing here. I think she can have more goals than Russo.
Yeah, I agree. I think when she comes on the pitch, she's everywhere on the pitch. She's everywhere getting the ball, and the way that she managed to do the run to create that goal was incredible. Because we obviously, me and you were there, Maisy, but I don't know how it was on the TV when you were watching it, Andy. But at first, I thought she was offside when she made that run, and
I thought he was going to blow the whistle because Robinson was down like she bloody got shot.
Exactly. I think for us, I thought she's either going to get the ball passed and the flag's going to go up, or she's going to get the ball and the rest's going to blow because Katie Robinson was down. But when it didn't and she scored that, the way that the atmosphere went electric, it was incredible. And the way she took the ball as well, she definitely was one of the best players on the pitch. But again, she doesn't care whether she starts the game or whether she only gets 5 to 10 minutes on the game. She is an impact sub, to say.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like it could be marginal. I actually only saw the replay. I missed the goal live, believe it or not, but I only saw the replay. But I think, to be honest, generally in the women's game, because the refs are so shit, everybody's offside a little bit. It's kind of it's almost trained into them. But with VAR coming in on the international tournaments, that's probably going to walk away. Sam Kerr's offside most of the time she plays. She got caught. She got caught last time, yesterday, a little bit more. But it's only marginal. It's only a little bit marginal because when you got a crap ref, you might do it 10 times in a game. 2 of them, you might get through. And when you Sam Kerr, you only need 1 chance to score. So I think Ellen White did a similar thing. I think to an extent we all do it. So as VAR does eventually come in, or as the international tournaments come in, they're going to have to train themselves out of it. And you might start seeing a difference between players who play on the international stage and have to adapt for VAR, playing in league games against players who know that you're playing, that you've got Kirsty Dowell in the middle, who's kind of got one eye working most of the time. And you can do what you want. And there might be a difference in that respect. I remember there's a couple of games a few months ago, maybe last season, where the idea was to have Leah as our main point of attack, but she kept getting mistiming it, so she was offside like 20 times a game. It was weird. Like, you just need better refs, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree with that 100%. We'll go on to the next question from Rabbit. I think this is an interesting one. When United's defence is all fit, who misses out to start? This is what the problem is, though. Is we haven't seen too much of Tukara. I know everyone say Tukara should start, but Tukara hasn't had enough run of games to know if Tukara is good enough to start. Do you get what I mean?
Tukara, though, has lost a place in the French team because of Mark Skinner's decision-making.
Yes, but you still don't know. Is she better than Mannion?
To be honest, I think any player who never played for Birmingham is struggling to get Skinner's attention because that's usually the new requirement. No, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I noticed Ravi's comment before. No, Skinner is not growing on me. Yeah, if Skinner's growing on me, it's the way that COVID grow on me from Wednesday. But I should be over it now. No, No, I mean, you just work what you've got with Skinner. Obviously, he's had his option extended. I'm going to try and forget the fact he might get a new contract this summer and just pretend it's going to be 1 year. And you just get behind the team and the manager as best you can. But yeah, question when United's defence is all fit, who misses out to start? I think the better question is, why have we paid a truckload of money for Jade Riviera? Why have we got Tukara? Where have we got Cascarino? Which I appreciate is more of a complicated question about where she plays. I'm not saying they're bad or good players. I'm just literally sort of saying, well, Claire might have a view on this. What's the plan, Mark? Like, let's look at Leon. Like, why did we buy her? Like, what? There seems to be a disconnect between even some journalists have said this. Some Skinnerettes even have said this. But like, what's the plan in relation to the squad? Yeah, you think you got your group of players and you got your sort of starters and your squad players. What's in Skinner's head? What's in Polybankroft's head? Why have we broke the bank for that Norwegian? Why we got Cascarino? Is that on loan? I can't even remember anymore. Why have we got Jade Riviera? Like, I'm not saying that's a bad decision. I just don't know. I literally do not know. The only thing that I worry about Jade Riviera is that she's on as replacement.
What's your thoughts, Chloe?
So, I'll go off Ravi's question first, and then I'll touch on what Andy was saying.
Yeah.
So I think the player that misses out when fit is Mannion. That's the easiest way to put it. Mannion's fit. She's coming back from an ACL injury. She is a player that is missing out on starting. But when you've got a partnership working in terms of Millie and Maya, you don't change it, because if you look back at Arsenal, Chelsea, they don't change their centre backs hardly. Chelsea, Magda and Miller. But if Millie's injured, it goes to Buchanan. But when Millie's fit enough, Buchanan's knocked out the squad and Bright's back in. And Millie and Magda are Chelsea's main two centre backs. So for me, that's how I see it. You don't change what's working. What for me? Touching on what Andy was saying in terms of the team, the players we've got. Casarino, she's on loan, and she plays as a defensive midfielder. So you're taking Hayley Ladd out there.
She can play centre back though as well, can't she?
I only heard she could play defensive mid.
Because when I was looking at some of the times she started under PSG, I seen that she's played as a centre back.
Yeah. Now, yeah, I think that is right, because it's just clicked that I think she plays as a centre back. France. Or that's where she can play for France. But yeah, she can play centre back and play defensive mid. But I think we brought her in as a Jade Moore replacement, because obviously Jade Moore's now at Reading on loan. So I think that's her replacement. And then Lisa is obviously, I think she might be a defensive mid as well, but can play more forward. And then obviously Jada Riviera is a full-back, whether left or right, whether for Hannah and for Honor. But what we do forget is that Maya is also a full-back, but plays as a centre-back. She got converted when playing for Brighton. She used to play as full-back. Then she got moved to centre-back due to injuries at Brighton, and has played there ever since. And for me, we've got Jada Riviera as like, if Hannah gets injured, we've got her. And if Honor gets injured, we've got Maya. And then you bring in Mannion. So for me, we have got a full now set of fullbacks in terms of that kind of aspect. And yeah, Jade's only coming back from an injury. And yeah, she hasn't played any games yet, but her time will come. Maybe against Tottenham, maybe even bring her on against Arsenal. But in terms of like how changing and who starts and stuff, I think with injuries, we have to kind of work them back in. And like we said with Mannion, Mannion's now had, I think, is it 3-4 games now back in, but she's yet to start a game because of the worry that she's going to do her ACL again. She's going to get injured again. And that's just the same as Jade because she's only just coming back from an injury, so it's worrying about her. And if you think back to Lisa, she played one game against Luz and got injured again. And that, for me, whether he took a risk or not in playing Lisa when he could have played someone else on such a, like, I'm not saying Luz was an awful pitch, but on a pitch like that, when we could have said play Casarino or Boarisa on that game and then brought Lisa on, just shows that players can get injuries when they are still fit, and or when they've just come back and they're fine, or they've tweaked something and they've not realised and they've damaged it even more. And it just shows that we've got that depth of squad that we can just go, right, Boarisa, quickly come in because Lisa's just got injured in warm up. We need you quickly to warm up, and we've got that depth of the squad that we can now that we can use. And yeah, it's if we think of who's out on loan, we've got Carrie Jones out on loan, Jade Moore out on loan, Kirsty Hanson, Emily Ramsey, Fuso. We've got that many players out on loan that are also having their contracts up in this summer. It's going to be a lot of second guessing on who we keep, why we keep them, and who do we bring in for replacements of players that are going. Because if we get Champions League, we need that experience, and we obviously want to keep our main 3 players that we know. Or I'll class it as 4 with Hayley Ladd, Honor, Russo, and Earps in its way up to coming up to the Champions League. But if we can't have that full squad because of these ones that are out on loan, you're going to have players that are going to have to be released or that are going to have to be dropped to the bench or not be in the match day squad. And that, for us, it's a good thing. It is, because it's that choice. But it's showing that we've got players that are missing out who are good to play, like Leon, like obviously Four's injured. But again, she's another centre-back who has been converted into playing left-back or right-back when needed. So it just shows that we've got that depth that they can change into positions when needed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, I agree. Vincent's gone for 3-1 for Man United, and with that, we will wrap it up. I know it's gone a little bit longer than what it usually does, so thank you both, Andy and Chloe, for both coming on. Been a great show as always. Chloe, would you like to give your score prediction, and also would you like to shout out your socials?
Yeah, my social is Chloe Riley 14 on Twitter. My score prediction is, even though I would like a clean sheet, I don't think we'll get one. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 United. Thank you for having me on, Maisy. It's been a pleasure, as always. I love these podcasts, and it's good to be back on them.
Mm-hmm. It's always a pleasure to have you on as well, Chloe. Andy, thank you as well for coming on, especially knowing that you're under the weather. But would you like to give your shout out your socials and score prediction?
Yeah, the thing is, I'm not anymore. That's the thing. Apart from the fact I'm not spoken for an hour and a half for like the last 4 days, so I think my voice is a bit out of practice, really. So yeah, basically fine. Apart from the fact that happens, it seems at the minute. Yeah, so my social at the minute may change is at AJ_87, as you can see on the screen. I was going to go for 2-1 myself. I like to sort of think about what the feeling is. What numbers do I see when Maisy says what's the score prediction? Maybe we'll go for 2-0. I think, Mary is due a top class game after the England mistake she made with the Finalisma, and obviously the one that happened on Saturday. And obviously, thanks for having me on, both of you. It's been great. As I say, I've literally not seen anybody I actually know since Wednesday, so it's been nice not to be too lonely.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you both on. I'll be next live tomorrow. I've got a show early tomorrow, doing a Seville preview over with Football Power Hour. So go and check that out. I actually had a 2-1 as well. So I'm going to up one. I'm going to go 3-1. Why not? Like, I said 2-1 on Sophie's channel, but I'm just going to say 3-1. Like, let's just up the one gear. So, let's do this. Let's get the double over Arsenal. And we'll see you soon. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.